Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manabhishtam Sthapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Satyavratam
The fifth day.
Sarvanatam Srivam Satvaitam Shavadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakantamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dhin Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanasute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevasya Patitanam Pavadebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gauru Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Welcome devotees for today's evening presentation on the Navadvip Mandala Parikrama. Navadvip means 9 islands where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates performed their pastimes. This Navadvip was manifested by the desire of Srimati Radharani, and each of these islands represents the 9 types of devotional service: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Mandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. So we have covered 4 days. First day, before that we had the Adivas ceremony, which was there at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace. The second day, we started from the Prabhupada Ghat, went to first Panchanatala, Lord Shiva's place. Then we went to Narsingapalli, Lord Narsinga's temple, and then we went to Harihar Kshetra, the bank of the Alakanand River. That is first day. And second day we started with Amghat, where the Manga pastime was performed. Then we went to this Suvarna Vihar, where Suvarna Sena had darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then we went to Swananda Sugata Kunj. That is the place where Bhaktivinoda Thakur was staying, and he had the vision of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's birthplace and the pastimes, which are about coming. And then his Samadhi that concluded by going to Surabhi Kunj, Bodrum Dvip, and ended at Arogya Ashram, the bank of the Jalangi River. So that is second day. And third day, we went ready to go. The fourth day, we went to Hamsava and Shiva, starting with Hamsava and Shiva. Then we went to Samudragar. To Samudragar, we covered Champahati, and then ended in Vidyanagar. Anyway, this is day 5.
The fifth day of the Navadvip Mandala Parikrama begins with the devotees walking from the school at Vidyanagar to the ashram of Janu Muni.
So, the Janu Muni, he was at Navadvip, and the Ganges River, it was coming from the heavenly planets, spiritual world. When it's coming down, it was following Bhagirath river. The Bhagirath king, he wanted to bring the Ganges to deliver his ancestors who were burned to ashes near Sagar. So this Ganges river was moving towards the Ganga Sagar, At that time, on the way, it wanted to uh, stop at this Navadvip so that it can take part in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pastimes. So when it was going through Navadvip, this Janamuni ashram was nearby, and his belongings got swept away by the Ganges. So he got disturbed and he drank the whole Ganges. So then Bhagirath was disappointed that he brought the Ganges to deliver his forefathers and the job is accomplished. On the way, Janamuni had swallowed the Ganges. So he prayed to Janamuni and then Janamuni let her out through his knee. So that's why the name Jhannavi comes to Mother the Ganges.
We're making good progress. From Srimantadvip, we did not go there. To Godrum Dvip, to Madhyadvip, to Ritudvip, to Janudvip. So from the name of this Dvip island, we get a hint that there must be some connection with Janhu Muni, Janhu Dvip, Janhu Muni. So where we are sitting around here someplace, could be under this big tree also. Janhu Muni was sitting one time. He would do his Sandhya Vandana, Prata, Madhya, Madhyan and Sandhya called 3 times. So as he was doing his Vandana, then suddenly there was a big turbulence, big disturbance. Suddenly noticed the water everywhere, all around. He was also floating in that water. And his Achman cup, he lost the track. All the paraphernalia that he had gathered so carefully around him was scattered all over. Oh, who did this? And he realized this is the job of this water, and they were not ordinary waters. Sacred Ganga had arrived here. Ganga Maya ki. We heard yesterday the 60,000 sons of Sagar, they were known as Sagar. They had left their bodies with the curse of Kapil Muni. So they had to be liberated. So Bhagirath came in that dynasty. He was concerned about the welfare and liberation of his forefathers, these 60,000 sons of Sagar. So he was bringing water, Ganga, so from Himalayan mountain all over UP and then Bihar and then Bengal and Navadvip and then to Jannu Muni's ashram here. So his Rath chariot had gone some distance and Ganga was following, and that Ganga's flowing there following Bhagirath's chariot has caused all the disturbance to Jannu Muni's Vandana, Sandhya Vandana. So when he realized that this was a job of Ganga, he became very angry and he drank Ganga, leaving no traces of Ganga anywhere. So Bhagirath he realized all this time he was making, no, Ganga is right behind me, Ganga is right behind me. But here as he was passing through Janudvip, suddenly he realized, oh, where is Ganga? Ganga is nowhere to be found. He turned his chariot around. He comes to Jannu Muni's ashram here, place here in Janudvip, and he could realize this Muni, he knows everything about my Ganga, or he's the cause of disappearance of Ganga. Most probably he has drank all the Ganga. So Bhagirath, so many obstacles were already there, and one more. Not much distance to go. How far is Ganga Sagar from here? Only 200 kilometers. Thousands and thousands of he has come all the way from heaven and then all the way from Himalayan mountains, thousands of kilometers. Now only 200 kilometers to go, and Ganga disappears. So he comes back here, praying to Janu Muni, begging for forgiveness for causing all the disturbance, and begging for Ganga, please give me Ganga back again. I need Ganga. I need to bring Ganga to Ganga Sagar to the banks of Bay of Bengal. So finally, Janamuni agreed. Ganga reappeared again from the Janu, from the thigh of Janamuni, and she was back here again, ready to go. So because he has come from Janu, she gets another name for Janhavi. Janhavi Tatavane Jagadana Manaloha.
The devotees walk from Janu Muni's ashram to Mamagachi, where they visit Sangha Thakur's ashram and the ruins of Vasudev Dutt's house.
So this Janumani, Janudip is also Bhishma Tila. Bhishma, as you know, is the son of Ganges. So his place is also here. So the previous days we covered first was Antardvip, that represents Atma Nivedan. And as per the actual map, we have to cover Simantadvip, which we'll cover in the last day, that represents the Sravanam. And next we came to Godrum Dev, that represents Kirtanam, in which we covered all the places which I mentioned, Gaurdaha, Narsimapalli, then Harihar Kshetra, Amghat, Suvarna Vihar, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house, Surabhi and Godrum Dvip. That was covered Kirtanam. Next we went to Madhya Dvip, which represents Smaranam or remembrance. So there we covered Naimisharanya, Hamsavahan Shiva, the Brahmana Pushkara, then Panchaveni, that Kurukshetra and all these places. And next we did Koladvip, Padasevan. So that represents there we saw the place of Dameshwar Mahaprabhu, Praudhamaya, and Vriddha Shiva, Jagannath Das Babaji Samadhi, Samudragar, then Champahati, and Jayadev Goswami's pastimes over there. And then yesterday we covered in Ritudvip, Radha Kunda, and Shyamukunda, and Vidyanagar, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had his studies with under Gangadas Pandit and Sarvam Bhattacharya and his brother's place. All this Sarvam Bhattacharya incarnation of Brihaspati, I told you. And now we have come to Janudvip. Archanam. So Maharaj is going to mention about this Mamgachi, very important place.
Lokanath Maharaj leads Kirtan till they reach the birthplace of Vrindavan Das Thakur.
So Vrindavan Das Thakur is the Vyasa for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pastime. Just as Veda Vyasa wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, this Vrindavan Das Thakur, he wrote the Gaur Bhagavat and Chaitanya Bhagavat. And he was born to Narayani, who was the niece of Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur's house, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to perform pastimes, and his niece was Narayana Devi, was a small child, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to give her his remnants, prasad. So later, when she got married, she had a son, but the father passed away when the child was in the womb of his mother. So when this Vrindavan Das Thakur was born, he had some idea about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pastimes, but he got all the information from Murari Gupta, and based on that, he compiled the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And whatever pastimes he did not cover, especially the Madhya and Antilila, that was later covered by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So this is a place where his birthplace is there and deities worshipped by him are there. And one more important thing is Lord Ramachandra, when he was performing his pastimes and he was on exile, he came to this place. So there used to be a big banyan tree over here, and when he was taking rest over here, he was smiling. And then Mother Sita wanted to know why he was smiling. So Lord Ramachandra said that in this Kali Yuga, he would appear as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he would take sannyas, and that he would be separated from his wife. So then Sita will be feeling sad about it. Why should he leave his wife, young wife and mother? So then, because that is to glorify the importance of Pradamba Seva, or the service in separation, how it is superior to Sambhoga, or service in union. And not only that, to deliver the people of Kali Yuga, he takes that incarnation.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavrinda, Srila Prabhupada ki.
So that Janudvip is a small island. So there, as I said, Bhishma was born in that place, and that's in Bhishma Tila, and he was born to Ganga and that king Shantanu. So he was blessed that he could leave his body whenever he chose, because he kept his vow. Now we have come to this another island, Modadrumdvip. That's where I told about Lord Ramchandra. Thus, this represents dasyam, or servitude, another type of devotional service.
A couple days back, we heard that Jagannath Das Bhakti Maharaj gave us this Panchatattva mantra. And at the very end, he says, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. So we worship all the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anytime we get to hear the name of an associate or a servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or get to say that name, or remember the glories or the qualities or the service of that Paramahamsa associate and servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our heart becomes more and more purified. So we're going to get to hear about Saranga Thakur. Do you want to say it one time? Saranga Thakur. His bhajan place of worship was like that here a little way. Some devotees dipped in and took darshan. Many, most probably came on here.
So this Saranga Thakur was time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, also known as Saranga Murari. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was telling him that you should initiate disciples, take disciples, but he was not willing to do that. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept insisting, and finally he agreed that, okay, the next early morning, next day, whomever I first see, I will initiate him. Okay, so he went to take bath in the Ganges that morning, and usually they take morning bath before Mangala, I mean before the during the Brahma Muhurta, before sunrise. So in the dark, he touched something, and immediately he gave the initiation to that. But it turned out that it was a dead body. In Bengal, the culture is if someone dies prematurely, they don't burn the body, but they put it in the Ganges with all some belongings, hoping that if a person dies very young, they don't burn the body, but rather they allow it to float in the Ganges, hoping that somehow he will come back to life. So this dead body, while floating in the river, it came to this Saranga place. And when in the morning, when he touched this dead body and he initiated, that dead body came back to life. So then the parents of this boy, they came back for him and said that now since you have come back alive, come back with us. So then he refused. He said that I already lost my life and this person has given me life, so I am surrendered to him. So he came known as Murari Chaitanya. Saranga Murari had a disciple named as Murari Chaitanya. Now since this Saranga Thakura had his deities over here, and his disciple Murari Chaitanya, he was so fearless because he came back from the dead. Even he used to ride on tigers. And this place is like a forest, and there, even a few years back, there was a man-eater tiger which killed some villagers. And so in this place, he was having his deities also. His disciple also is having his deities. And here you can see a tree. This is also known as Siddha Bakul. We have Siddha Bakul in Jagannath Puri also. And here also there is one Bakul tree, and it was almost dying. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and embraced this tree, and it came back to life. So if you carefully observe this tree, it is completely hollow. There is no trunk, but it's still alive. And all these places are here. And this temple was being served by one Jagat Bandhu Prabhu. He was from the time of Bhakti Siddhanta Thakura, and he remained a brahmachari all through his life. And here, the venomous serpents also used to come here, but he continued with his devotion.
But Shranga Thakur is described to be, I think, the 77th, 78th branch of the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tree. In other words, he's the eternal associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a Paramahamsa. Any words I share with you about his glories will be totally inadequate. Sometimes Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami would say, I offer 1 million obeisances to such and such a Prabhu. I hope you will forgive me for the offense of only offering 1 million obeisances. So Murari, or Shranga Thakur rather, being such an empowered, pure devotee of the Lord, it was the desire of the Lord that he share that mercy with others, that he give initiation, give shelter, and give instruction to the conditioned souls in the devotional service of the Lord. There's two versions of the story. One says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally instructed him, I want you to become a spiritual master. And he replied, I would, but I don't see any qualified disciples or candidates for disciples. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he heard this, he laughed, appreciating that it's a fact. Most of us that get the mercy of a Vaishnava, it is mercy. We're not qualified to be servants of the spiritual master or the Lord. Another version that Srila Prabhupada writes, so this is the main one that I'll share, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the purport, he says that repeatedly he was feeling from within his heart the inspiration or the instruction, you should become a spiritual master. It reminded me of Srila Prabhupada Repeatedly, his spiritual master came to him in dreams. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would say, you should take sannyas. Srila Prabhupada was somewhat hesitant, reluctant to do so. In the same way, Saranga Thakur was hesitant to become an initiating spiritual master. But finally he understood, this is the will of the Lord, it is his instruction to me, so I have to do it. Whether we like to do something or don't like to do something, if the spiritual master, if the Lord says do it, then you immediately do it. So upon the conviction that yes, I will follow this instruction of the Lord, he took up the vow that the next morning, very next morning, the first person I see, I will initiate and take instruction in the science of Krishna consciousness. So he lived here, and the Ganga used to flow very close by. So in the morning he got up and he went to take bath in the Ganga. And then when he went down into the water, he was entering into the water, and it just so happened that a dead body was floating nearby and came and touched the feet of Saranga Thakur. When Saranga Thakur touched the dead body with his lotus foot, the body came back to life. And this was the disciple that he accepted. His name was Murari Chaitanya. Now, the way he came to be there, he was going to be married. He was a young man. His parents had arranged for his marriage upstream in the Ganga, but he had been bitten by a cobra and had died. And it's the custom in India that you don't burn the body of a snake victim, because there are those in the Dham in India that know the science of retrieving the poison out of the body and helping the person come back to consciousness. So they put the body in the Ganga, they let it float down, hoping maybe this can take place. Well, he came there, he was initiated and given the shelter of Saranga Thakur, and his parents came to hear this. Oh, our son's alive, we can have our son again, he can get married. They came there, come on, let's go back home. Do you think he went back with his parents? Not at all. He never left the shelter and the service of his spiritual master. He said, that life is over with. It was finished when the snake bit and killed that body. Now I've been given life in the service of my spiritual master. This body and life is now his. He became a very great devotee. He also became known as Saranga Murari Chaitanya Thakur. He was so absorbed in Krishna consciousness that if he simply walked by anybody in the presence, in the surrounding area, they would become imbued with Krishna consciousness just by seeing him or his walking by. He was always chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. 24 hours a day. Needless to say, he realized he wasn't his body. He had already left his body, come back to the body. He was fully Krishna conscious. He had no fear for the protection of this body. It is said he would playfully run after tigers. If he would catch it, he would slap the tiger around. He had no fear whatsoever. Or he would play with poisonous cobra. One would come up. I've seen cobras before. That even if they're nearby, coming by the latrine or whatever, immediately, Hare Krishna, you run away. He would take it on his lap and play with it. He had no fear. Always absorbed in chanting the holy name. Sometimes it said that not wanting to be bothered, he would go and sit in the river, in the Ganga, 2 to 3 days, undisturbed in samadhi, simply chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
So here, this Prabhu Rajendran Prabhu is explaining that this Saranga Murari was so fearless that he used to go submerge himself in the Ganges and stay underneath water for 2-3 days and be chanting. So that shows the power of this initiation.
This is the heritage that we find ourselves in. This is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tree. Interestingly enough, Saranga Thakur is listed as a branch of Lord Chaitanya and his disciple.
Sranga Murari is listed as a branch of Nityananda Prabhu. Be that as it may, we are the servant of 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 the Lord. We are so fortunate to be here on Parikrama, hearing the glories of these devotees and praying for their mercy. One last point. There is a tree that Sranga Thakur would chant underneath, a baful tree. Beautiful tree, but it was dying. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu one time came, and knowing that the tree was the shelter of Sranga Thakur's shade and that he liked to chant there, he embraced the tree and he brought the tree back to life. That tree is 500 years old.
So here we can see the tree. It is 500 years old from the time of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it is hollow. Just like in Jagannath Puri, the tree is completely hollow inside. So,
and it is all hollow and looking as if it should be dead, but it is full bloom, all leaves, flowers come from that tree. That is understood to be a liberated soul also, a desire tree, one that has been here for the last 500 years. That's just a stone's throw away in the back of it. So we're surrounded in this Chintamani Dham by all transcendental spiritual personalities.
So these are the beautiful deities. You can see Gaurnitai, deities worshipped by Saranga Murari, and deity worshipped by his disciple Murari Chaitanya. So they are still there.
The trees, the dust, the inhabitants, and the personalities that we are hearing about, they are also here ready to give us their mercy if we simply will take it and apply it. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki.
So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had another disciple, Vasudeva Datta, and he was incarnation of Prahlad. So he wanted to take the sins of all the living entities and deliver them. So he was feeling like this. Then there's another Vasudeva Vipra, he was a leper, and that is happened in South India. But this Vasudeva Datta, he wanted to accept the sins of all the living entities and deliver them. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that I can easily deliver millions of universes. And one universe is like a mustard seed in a bag full of mustard seeds. So that his house remains here in this place, in Mamraj.
Nearby are the ruins of the house of Vasudev Dutt. Seeing the sufferings of the conditioned souls, one day he told Lord Chaitanya, I would like it if Lord Krishna would please give me all their sinful reactions on my head. I will take them all and I will suffer those reactions, and they can all go back home, back to Godhead. So Lord Chaitanya, when he heard this, he was overwhelmed. That you are such an amazing devotee. You are a unique devotee. Srila Prabhupada comments in the purport there, one of the purports there, that by this statement of Vasudeva Dutt, heartfelt, completely sincere statement, we can understand that he, and also Prabhupada mentions Srila Haridas Thakur, their compassion is so unlimited. Srila Prabhupada says that actually they are many millions of times more merciful than even some person like Jesus. Of course, now some people from Christian backgrounds, when they hear this, they become a little shocked, they cannot digest it. But this is what Srila Prabhupada says very clearly. And the idea is that, at least for those of you from Christian backgrounds, you would be familiar, that Jesus said that you accept me, basically like you surrender to me, I'll save you. But here Vasudeva Dutt is saying that what to speak of those people who had accepted him and taken shelter of him, What to speak of the devotees? What to speak of all the people on this planet? But every living entity in all the species, in the entire universe, he would take all their sinful reactions so they could be delivered. Even people who never heard about him, never seen him, didn't know who he was. Even people who wouldn't accept him, who might actually reject him. But he was willing, he was enthusiastic. Let me take those reactions so they can be delivered. So if we consider the scale of this, the extent of his mercy, it is truly unlimited. So when Lord Chaitanya heard this, he was just completely astonished and he was so pleased. And he said, you know, actually, you don't have to do that. Just by your having that desire, not to accept the reactions as such, but to deliver the conditioned souls, just by your having that desire, because you're a pure devotee of Krishna, and Krishna always fulfills the desires of his devotees. So we can understand, just by your having that desire, they are already delivered.
So here, very important point is we have a spiritual desire in the service of the Lord. Definitely, it will be fulfilled. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu assured Vasudeva Datta.
And Lord Chaitanya said, just as there is a type of tree, it is called Udumbara, I think, something like that. What do you call it? Oh, no.
So like the fig tree is there. In that fig tree, there are many fruits which produce more and more trees. So from one tree, you produce many trees.
And it is a type of tree. It has many fruits. So Lord Chaitanya said, if one of those fruits is lost, it is not a problem. The tree is not going to protest. And Lord Chaitanya said, if there is a bag of mustard seeds and one mustard seed is lost, the owner is not going to protest and try and locate it. So similarly, if all the living entities in this universe, this one universe, if they all go back home, back to Godhead, and the universe is vacated, Krishna's not going to worry. Just let it happen, it's okay. So this is Vasudeva Dhamma.
So Lady Vyas appears in Chaitanya Leela as Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. He was born as the son of Narayan.
So this Gopi Parardhan Prabhu, he is the one who completed the Srimad Bhagavatam after after Prabhupada passed away. The Vidyananda Das Goswami and this Gopi Parardhan Prabhu, he has written that commentary for the remaining cantos of the Bhagavatam. He passed away a few years back in Govardhan.
Who was, I think, the sister of Malini Devi, the wife of Srivastava. Okay, sorry. How her son got the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is that when she was a little girl, she got the Mahaprasada plate from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
So this Srivas Thakur was there, his wife Malini Devi, and she had a sister. That sister's daughter is Narayani. And so Narayani had married, but the husband passed away. But when the child was in the womb, and that child later was born as Vrindavan Das Thakur, is the incarnation of Veda Vyasa. So this is a very nice place with all the deities of Radha Krishna, Gaur Nitai, small deities, and the small right hand corner, bottom corner, you can see the deity of Vrindavan Das Thakur.
And ate his Mahaprasada. And she gave birth to a great soul,
Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur here in very holy town of Mamagachi. He, in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, the great book that he wrote, just like Vasudev, his book is Bhagavatam. He wrote the Bhagavatam. So the Vyasadeva and Chaitanya Leela.
So here you can see the Shaligram Sila. So very huge Shaligram Sila.
Wrote the Chaitanya Bhagavat. In this book, he calls himself the last devotee of Lord Nityananda, the least of all the devotees of Lord Nityananda, because he was a great devotee of Nityananda. But he calls himself the least. Actually, he's technically correct, because Krishnadas Kaviraj lists 41 trees, sub-trees, branches, sub-branches of the Nityananda branch. And on the list, the Jagannath Thakur is number 41. So he's last but not least of the great devotees of Lord Nityananda. He has described the wonderful pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his book Chaitanya Bhagavat. Especially the early pastimes, up to the point when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, his grihastha pastimes, are described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat.
So here you can see the Shaligram Sila.
In such wonderful detail, and so perfectly, that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and the Chaitanya Charitamrita didn't want to just repeat what had already been told perfectly by Vrindavan Das. So when we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see that the early pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are described very briefly.
So this is the deity of Vrindavan Das Thakur.
And Krishnadas keeps on saying, this has already been described by Vrindavan Das Thakur. But he refers to the book as Chaitanya Mangal, because the Chaitanya Bhagavat, the original title was Chaitanya Mangal. But Vrindavan Das found out that the other great devotee, Lochan Das, was writing a book, and he was calling his book Chaitanya Mangal. So, out of humility, he let Lochan Das take the title, and he changed the title of his book to Chaitanya Bhagavat.
As Prabhu was explaining, initially he titled his book Chaitanya Mangala. But then there was another Lochana Das Thakura, that Paramakaruna song is there. So that Lochana Das Thakura also called his book Chaitanya Mangala. So to avoid the same title, he changed his book title to Chaitanya Bhagavata out of his humility. So this is the destination place where they set up the camp and all the prasadam is served.
After breakfast, the devotees move on again through Rudradweep.
So before we complete this part, actually there are a few more places. One is that's known as Vaikuntapur, where the Narada Muni had darshan of Vishnu in this place, and also Ramanujacharya had darshan of Ramanujacharya was traveling in Navadvip and he had darshan of the Lord Gauranga. Of course, Ramanujacharya appeared before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so he had darshan of vision of Gauranga Mahaprabhu here. Madhvacharya also was before that, so he also, while traveling, he had darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here. And then the Pandavas also, they were in Ekchakra. We discussed about this in the Nityananda appearance day in Ekchakra, and from there they came to here to this Navadvip Dham. So here also they had darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and so this is the we covered about. Now we are moving to the next island.
Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur prays, O feet, please walk in Rudradweep. O eyes, please gaze at Mododrum Dweep's beauty. O tongue, please chant what the ears have heard of the glories of Lord Gora's sacred places. They come to the boat ghat, just on the northern side of Navadvip town, and take boats towards Bailpakur.
So we covered Modadrum that is where all this Vrindavan Das Thakur pastime and all. So that is represents dasyam or servitude. Then we are they're going to cross the boat and come to Rudradvip. Rudra, as you know, Lord Shiva. So there's a bale pukur. Bale tree is used to worship. Bale leaf is used to worship Lord Shiva. So Shankarpur is also called. And there Nimbarka Swami, and that place and all is over here.
This is the fourth and last of the boat rides they'll be taken on the Parikrama.
Very auspicious to have a darshan of the Ganges, cool breeze.
When they disembark, they walk through Shankarapur, where Shankaracharya had darshan of Lord Chaitanya many hundreds of years ago.
As you know, Shankaracharya also came to this Navadvip and he had darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Shankaracharya is the incarnation of Lord Shiva, and he was came to preach the Mayavada impersonalism on the order of the Lord only. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him that this is my place, so don't preach the Mayavada here. So he had to leave this place.
They then move on towards Bailpakur.
So some of the parikrama is done by boat and some by walk.
When we arrive in Bailpakur, we go to the temple of Madan Gopal.
So this Bailpakur, very nice temple is there. Madan Gopal. So as you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's father was Vishwambara, and his father's name was Jagannath Mishra, and his mother was Sachi Mata. Sachi Mata had a father that is known as Nilambara Chakravarti. So Nilambara Chakravarti is like a grandfather of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he had deities of Madan Gopal, very beautiful deities. And at one time, whenever the parikrama used to come to this place, it used to be floods, not floods, heavy rain used to come in the night and all the campsites would be damaged. So later they discovered that this deity was in the temple where there was a hole in the ceiling, and through the ceiling water was dripping during the rain. So when they understood that this could be the reason for the flooding, they repaired this temple, and thereafter there are no floods during the parikrama at least. Very beautiful deity. In fact, Nilambara Chakravarti, he only predicted that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will be will preach this holy name all over the world, and that's why he gave him the name Vishwambar. He was an astrologer.
The original deity of Nilamba Chakravarti, the father of Lord Chaitanya's mother, Sachi Devi. Srila Prabhupada describes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, after hearing of the birth of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, learned scholars and Brahmins, bringing many gifts, came to see the newborn baby. Nilamba Chakravarti, who was a great astrologer, immediately prepared a horoscope, and by astrological calculation, he saw that the child was a great personality. Next to the temple, there are also deities of Mother Sachi with Lord Chaitanya. The devotees then take prasadam after a long day's walking and boating.
So you get the most delicious prasad. It's a logistical excellence that they are able to mobilize all this prasad from the prepare it in Mayapur, ISKCON, then from there they transport it, and especially these foreigners take a lot of rasgullas and all these sweet preparations.
And then take some well-earned rest. Around the camp, devotees get dogs, green coconuts to drink from.
So dog are very cheap here, 3 rupees, 4 rupees also you get one dog. I don't know about now.
And take care of other duties.
Hare Krishna, did you hear me? So,
And it's pleased with you, immediately he blesses you with devotion for Radha and Krishna. That happened. Navadvip in this forest, Navadvip you mentioned last night also. Some of you are not present. He worshipped Shiva by offering ale, leaves.
so Nimbar Kacharya, he is just like we have Ramanujacharya in the Sri Sampradaya, Madhvacharya in the Brahma Sampradaya. Like with Nimbaka Swami, he appeared in the Rudra Sampradaya. So he worshipped the Lord Shiva with bay leaves here.
Shiva was so much pleased and said, I bestow Radha Krishna praying you, Aditya. Aditya, you are involved in Aditya. And he said, I am working to formalize this devotion unto Radha Krishna. You will get all instructions and also initiation from four Kumaras. So they are residing here. They go find, look for the four Kumaras. Looking for four Kumaras, and there in this week he found all the four Kumaras.
So Nimbarka Swami, he was instructed to go and meet Sanat Kumaras, and he found them here.
Oh. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Aditya jacket is master and his four Kumaras started. And everybody introducing champions. I have been directed by Shiva. You process of devotion to Radha Krishna. Quickly went to Ganga, came back. It was initiation day for him. Then he was initiated. Radha Krishna mantra. As he followed the process, Navadvip he has darshan of Radha and Krishna in this week.
Maharaj is explaining how Nimbarka Swami had darshan of Radha Krishna. That's why they also worship Radha Krishna, Nimbarka Sampradaya.
So first he saw Radha and Krishna, and very soon Radha and Krishna were not there. There was one person, not two persons, only one person, and that was.
So this Nimbarka Swami had darshan of first Radha Krishna, and then they transformed into Lord Chaitanya.
There was a Shiva Linga which was worshipped underneath this banyan tree, where there are now several other lingas covered in red powder. That linga is presently being worshipped in the temple at Navadvip town. The devotees then walk on to the Samantini Devi temple.
So Simantini Devi is Mother Parvati. One time Lord Shiva, he was had darshan of Lord Gauranga, and he was dancing in ecstasy, and he was always chanting Gaura, Gaura, Gaura. So this Simantini Devi Parvati wanted to have darshan of Lord Gauranga, who appeared, and she took the dust of his feet and put it on her Simanta, means the part of the hair. That's why she became known as Simantini Devi. So Mother Parvati was lamenting that she is also known as Durga, and her job is to punish the living entities who are antagonistic to Lord Krishna. So in this place, she has a temple. Right now it has been
And we also have a rug here at Navadvip.
Okay. Shiva, okay. So this is Shiva Ji Ki. He never leaves alone. Wherever we go, Shiva is there. Following us. And he's considered Shivani.
So there's the Shiva deity over here, and so this island represents Shravana. Actually, we should cover this first, but because of some reasons, they do this in the end.
This was Simantini, yeah. This side. He's also here, not in manufactured form, but this is her place.
Samantani Devi is a form of Parvati, the consort of Lord Shiva. One time in this place in Satya Yuga, Parvati heard Lord Shiva chanting the name Gauranga in great ecstasy. And she asked him, "Who is this person, Gauranga?" Shiva explained who Lord Chaitanya is, and then told her,
I'm going to build a small kutir, and there I'll chant the holy name of Gauranga. So then hearing this, Mother Parvati said, then why I should be deprived of this opportunity? Then she came to this island, specific island. She also started chanting the name of Gauranga. And she was feeling very sad that she is so unfortunate. At one point, Lord Gauranga appeared, some form of Gauranga, long hair, Brahman thread, nice, wearing nice dhoti. And Lord Gauranga asked, "What do you want?" So Mother Parvati, instead of feeling expressed by seeing Lord Gauranga, she started to cry. Then Gauranga asking, "Why you are crying? Tell me what you want." Then Mother Parvati said, "You are coming here to give love of Godhead to everybody. But even if I am your eternal servant, but I am most unfortunate being." Why? Because people just say, "Krishna Surya Sama Maya hai, Angatar jahan Krishna tahan nahi Maya ratika." That you are like sunshine, and wherever you are there, I can't be there.
So Mother Parvati was lamenting that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come to deliver the living entities in Kali Yuga, but she has the thankless job of keeping the souls in the material world. And as Maharaj was explaining, where there is Krishna, there is no Maya. So I'm deprived of your association. So she lamented like this.
So that means everybody will get love of Godhead except me only, because I can't be next to you. And saying this, she took the dust of Lord Gauranga's lotus feet, and she put on her Simon Kadishet ladies, hair, both part, they put vermilion, Hindu ladies, and there she put the dust. This is called Simanta. And this island name is Simanta Day. Then Gauranga Mahaprabhu, he told, pacified, Mother Parvati said, "No, no, don't be worried. Actually, you are my eternal servant. You are expansion of Srimati Radharani. Radharani helps me in my pastimes, in spiritual world. Here I am giving you special opportunity. You will serve here, just like Vrindavan. Purnamasi serving here in Navadvip Dham. Serve me as Purnamaya." So that's
So yes, just like Paurnamasi is serving Lord Krishna in Vrindavan. So it's Praudamaya we saw in the Navadvip that area. So she is present there and serving Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Parvati is there as Purnamaya in Antardip and as Simantini in Simantardip. So this place, Navadvip Dham, Mayapur, one business of the Purnamaya is she will keep everything hidden. So non-devotees cannot understand even if they come to this Dham.
So here Maharaj makes a very important point that Praudamaya, she covers the conditioned souls about the knowledge of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his this greatness of Navadvip Dham. So that's why we have to hear about this place, chant a Mahamantra, and then cultivate knowledge about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then when we visit this Navadvip, then this Maya Devi will reveal this Dham to us.
The Parikrama moves on towards the Chandkazi Samadhi. The Chandkazi was ruling this area in the time of Lord Chaitanya, and he tried to stop the Lord Sankirtan.
So Chandkasi is an incarnation of Kamsa, and so he tried to stop this Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before he took sannyas. He was in doing Sankirtan, Nama Sankirtan, and he was the Muslim ruler at that time. And he put an order that they should not do any more Sankirtan. Even the local Brahmins were complaining because they felt that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is encouraging all the low caste people to take the names of the Lord, which should not be chanted loudly. So then the Chandkazi ordered the breaking of the Mridangas. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in protest, he organized a civil disobedience movement where he gathered all the devotees and marched towards the Chandkazi's house. So seeing this, Chandakasi became afraid. Then he came down to pacify Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he said that I am like your uncle. And so then they had a discussion as to why the Muslims, they kill the cow. Cow is like a mother. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted from the Quran to show that the cow should not be killed. So then Chandkasi told to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that in the dream, Lord Narasimhadev appeared and he threatened to tear open his chest because he was trying to stop the Sankirtana. And so he showed the marks on his chest also that this Narasimhadev had tried to tear open his chest because he was obstructing the Sankirtana. So then thereafter, this Chandkasi made a proclamation that none of my descendants will stop this Sankirtan. Even till today, although there is Muslim-Hindu riots going on in Bengal sometimes frequently, in this place, the descendants of this Chandkasi, they don't oppose the Sankirtan movement. In fact, in this Chandkan Samadhi, you have the neem tree represents Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the I think forget the tree that other tree represents the Chandkasi. They are intertwined.
Hare Krishna. But the Lord organized a massive Harinam party which came to the Kazi's house at this place, and the Kazi surrendered to him.
Kazi means a Muslim ruler.
The Kazi's Samadhi is here. Here we find a champak tree and a neem.
Champa tree. Champa tree represents this Chandkasi, and the neem tree represents Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They are totally intertwined. And the devotees, they make their they worship here and they pray for something.
Tree entwined around each other. They're said to represent the Lord, and the Kazi embrace him. The devotees put on a drama depicting this pastime.
Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Rama Ramo, Hare Hare.
Next, the Parikrama goes to the house of Kolavecha Sridhar, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya.
So this Kolavecha Sridhara, he was a poor Brahmana, and he used to make his living by selling the banana tree products. As you know, in Bengal, famous for banana plantations, and whatever the banana leaves, banana flower, banana fruits, all this he used to sell and make his living. And he used to 50% of that money income he used to use it to worship the Ganges. So he was always very poor. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to come and tease him and used to steal his bananas or ask him, bargain from him and take his products. And he would say that I am Vishnu, and like this, he used to be very mischievous. I mean, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to be, as a child, he used to be very mischievous with Kolavechya Sridhar. So later, one time, so in the house of Srivas Thakura, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did his Mahaprakash Leela, where he was manifesting his many incarnation forms. So that time he asked Kolavechya Sridhar to ask for a blessing. And Kolavechya Sridhar said, even I don't want liberation, I only want to see your form as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who used to come to me and to buy my products. So although Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him the benediction that he can get even heaven, he refused that and he said, I want to remain like this and serve you eternally. I have darshan of you. So the Kolavechya Sridhar again represents Sudama Vipra in Krishna's pastimes. So we'll be going to that house and then end in Jagannath Mandir.
Who would make a living by selling bananas. Once when the Lord was performing his Mahaprakash Leela, he called for Sridhar and offered him many benedictions. But Sridhar refused, saying he only wanted pure devotional service. Jananivas Prabhu explains.
I see that Mahaprabhu offers benedictions to his different devotees, which is his name, Mahaprakash Leela. And Lord Chaitanya appeared as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, letting everyone see his supreme form as Vishnu, sitting on the tip of the shaligram of the altar, sat on the altar, and displayed his supreme form. Sages are striving to these things. He is neglecting like strong and sweet. Difficulties. What is Sridhar God that he can remove outside of the three worlds?
So even the Kolavechya Sridhar was so austere that he lived in a hut where there was no proper roof, and all the local people used to criticize him that you're always chanting Krishna's name and creating a disturbance because you're so hungry with no food. To overcome the hunger, you're simply chanting, and they used to criticize him like this. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took from his, he had an iron water pot. From that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to drink water to show his greatness as a devotee.
The devotees take lunch under the mango trees near Kolavechya Sridhar's house.
So this place is inside the Jagannath Mandir.
After lunch, they stop for the day at ISKCON's Jagannath Temple, which is the holy place Jagannath Puri in Navadvip Dham. Right in the center of our satellite image, we can see the Jagannath Temple.
for today. We'll continue tomorrow about the, not tomorrow, day after. Tomorrow is Ekadasi. We'll talk about Lord Krishna. And then we'll conclude this Navadvip Mandala Parikrama on Friday. So thank you for your patient hearing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Pancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. We'll meet again tomorrow morning for the chanting session.